As you saw in this video, it is very terrifying to live with this day by day. It is saddening to see that we send our own people to go and serve for our country and be exposed to the explosions that cause them to have PTSD. And sometimes they don't even notice they have the diagnosis themselves, as seen in this next video.
When I was over Vietnam, I was over there in 70 and 71. Then when I came home, you know, I knew it wasn't the same because before I went over there, I was happy-go-lucky, laughing and everything like that. When I came home, even to this day, I don't smile. I didn't talk about Vietnam. And I thought that I would spare people because, you know, Vietnam was not a nice place. When I came home, I know that I started drinking more, and also that I couldn't really hold on to a job. I couldn't have a successful relationship with a person. I would maybe be with them for about a year or something like that and break up, And my jobs, I couldn't have anyone like bossing me around. When I did go to restaurants, I had to have my back up against the wall looking, so I'll be able to look at everything. I just keep thinking somebody had acted. And I figured there was something wrong. I had a short temper. I kept yelling for, you know, no good reason. And so I went to the VA, and what they did is they said, well, do you have PTSD? And I said, you know, I don't even know what PTSD is, so I don't know. And they get you familiar with what PTSD really is and how it's going to affect you and why it affects you. And it was pretty nice to know that there's a reason for what I was doing. So I would definitely recommend any veteran go and try to get help. It is very much better knowing the reasons why you're like you are, and also to be able to work things out.
Shown in this video was a man sharing his life out with his PTSD. After serving in the Vietnam War, his life was forever revolved around his PTSD symptoms. He always felt in danger, and he didn't even know that he had PTSD until he went to seek help. Living with PTSD is no easy task, and it is very important that you seek professional help. Oftentimes, soldiers or veterans do not know that they have PTSD, and they find it difficult to look for treatment or find treatment. Found on National Research Action Plan an article titled Mental Health Services by unknown author, published on August 31st, 2012, found that 2 to 11% of people with PTSD actually had it written on their medical record. And oftentimes, half or less than half of people get treatment for PTSD.
Two common treatments for PTSD are psychotherapies and pharmacological medications. According to the United States Department of Defense, in an article titled National Research Action Plan, responding to the executive order improving access to mental health services for veterans, service members, and military families, published on August 31st, 2012, these two treatments are the most common ways of dealing with PTSD. The source also states that psychotherapies are proven to be the most successful. This may be because that the treatment plan, also known as counseling or behavioral therapy, is very flexible to the patient's needs, and the patient is able to build a personal relationship and build trust with their therapist. For pharmacological medications, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors are the first line of defense. This is a drug that alleviates the symptoms of PTSD, as there are no drugs that can cure PTSD directly.
There are no medications specifically developed to treat PTSD. In a previously stated source in the National Research Action Plan, there are many medications that treat the symptoms of PTSD, but not treat the biological causes of it. As of now, there are only 53 different types of medications for PTSD, but none are 100% effective because everyone reacts to them in different ways.
According to an article titled Psychotherapy is Effective and Here's Why, by an unknown author, published October 2011, there are 3 types of psychotherapies because that is the most recent and most helpful method for people with PTSD. The first one is exposure therapy. This exposure therapy helps them by talking through their memories and retracting them so that they talk about them enough. They go through the causes and why they fear them. The second is reprocessing eye movement therapy. This goes back to reprocessing memories from your traumatic experience so that you can build a trust in your therapist so you feel more comfortable. It is also the most highly recommended one out there. And the last one is somatic therapy. So far, somatic therapy doesn't have much to it because of the lack of research. But as of right now, they are working on it so that it can be the third helpful method for psychotherapy. So far, we are going to look back at what we have discussed.
Today, we found out what PTSD is. We talked about the symptoms of PTSD. We talked about history of PTSD dating back to World War I. Then we talked about the treatments that you can have for PTSD, and we also heard stories from soldiers about their own story. PTSD is affecting thousands of military people and is important to know about. Oftentimes soldiers go unaffected. But just imagine if it were you waking up every night to the same horrible dream.